We're working in Module 18 and we're talking about pivot tables in this particular module. We're on Section 2 now. I've already showed you how to create a pivot table. Let's talk about how to create a pivot chart. A pivot chart is basically the information that you have in your pivot table, just in a chart format. Let's go ahead and see what a pivot chart looks like. If you decide you also want a pivot chart, you have to create that based on the pivot table data information. So you have to have the pivot table done already. Start by clicking anywhere inside the pivot table. When you go up to the Pivot Table Tools Contextual tab, you're going to see right over here it says Pivot Chart. And if you click on that, then you're going to see a chart pop up. If you remember, we talked about regular charts in a previous section. Here's where I can decide which type of chart that I would like to see, and I'll just say a regular column chart like this. And when I click OK, here is a pivot chart created on the data from the pivot table back here. If this pivot data changes back here, that changes the chart. The other thing is this data here, these numbers come from my actual data. So I'd have to go back to the sheet that the data's on down here at the bottom, change these numbers, then that would actually in turn change the data here on the pivot table, and that would change the data on the pivot chart. So you always have to go in that particular order. But what's really cool about a pivot chart is, if you notice here, I've got a drop down where it says product. Currently I'm showing all of the products, so you can see that floppy drives are this blue color, hard drives are this orange color, and so forth. If I click the down arrow and just want the keyboards, for example, then I can click OK, and now I'm showing just the keyboards for each of the sales reps. I might want to show a couple of different products, maybe the keyboards and memory boards, for example. And now you'll see I can see 2 products for each salesperson. I can also go in and filter this out by salesperson. Maybe I just want a couple of these different people to show up in the list. There's just multiple ways that I can filter out the products I'd like to see and the sales reps. And remember, in this one we also had the stores. So I could take this one step further and just show the Albany store. And you can see obviously there are no products that meet my criteria here. So I would go back and choose a different store maybe, or choose all. And if you want to choose multiple, you could check this box and uncheck the ones you don't want. The bottom line is that you can come up with all kinds of information in a chart format here from that data from the pivot table. That's all I wanted to show you about that right now. That's a pivot chart. Let's go ahead and move over now into Module 19. There's a lot of little miscellaneous features that I want to go over with you. That particular module is called Additional Excel Features.